Alright, here we are back with the Trebuchet Testflight video. This is the final version of the plane that I was working on in the previous vid. So you can see where it's got the same basic airframe, basically, but we're a fair bit modified from the original. So the canards have all gone, the wings have been extended forwards, the central tailplane, well, the central vertical stabilizer has been removed, and the aerospike was replaced with a turbojet and the spacing around the central engine filled with a bit of wing and some elevators. We also revised the landing gear quite substantially, so you can see we're running smoothly along now. I think I also added in those hidden radial intakes underneath. But yeah, we're cruising along easily, picking up speed very quickly. We're only going to need about half the runway for this one. And you can see the tail strike wheels there at the back, which you're about to see in action. So pull the nose up here, here we go, and boom, quick tap on the tail strike wheels. That would have been unpleasant if they weren't there. But yeah, it pulls up very easily, and even though it pulled up into a stall there was no roll at all. I'm not touching the roll on your controls. So it's perfectly stable in the stall at low air speeds. And give a little testing on it. Alright, look at that. 6 Gs, massive angle of attack, only went into a minor stall, not a major, so even with that sort of pull, it'll still fly. It's just pulling a bit more drag than usual, and it's got enough thrust that it can take off almost straight up. But as you'll see here, as I'm cranking up the time acceleration, each time I do, the nose pulls down a little bit because the air's moving a bit too fast for the control surfaces to hit properly. And that actually can kind of work for you. It's an easy way to pull steeply out of the lower atmosphere and then level off. But speaking of level off, let's skip past all that, 3 minutes worth of accelerating up to altitude and take it up to where we are. So we're up at nearly Mach 4.5. Just cut off the turbojet because the air's running a bit low. And pulling out of time acceleration, you see as you pull out you get the reverse of that nose down thing, so you do need to be careful. Come in and out of time acceleration gradually if you don't want the plane ripping about wildly. But now we're down to just the turbojet, and we're still climbing a lot here, but we are starting to lose speed. You see, we're only using 1/5 of our original thrust. So I'm pulling down to inline with the wind to minimise the drag, but even pushing straight on, we just don't have enough thrust left to maintain speed here. But I'm holding off the rockets a bit because I want to get some altitude as well, and altitude in aircraft terms is essentially speed in the bank. But now the air's running low even just for the turbojet, and I am going to want to kick in the rockets before that gets below 100%, because the rockets will drive the ram air effect that will let me get more power out of the turbojet than I would have otherwise. So it ends up being more fuel efficient in the end. I could have waited a bit longer probably, but I just got to be impatient there. Rockets on, but once you've got the rockets on, you don't want to be still in low draggy atmosphere when it's time to turn the rockets off. So you want to pull up steeply, use your rockets to get up above the drag for the coast phase. And look at here, again, this is hands-off control. Oh no, I'm still tapping a bit, but there we are, hands-off controls. And yeah, 45-degree angle of attack, no roll wobble at all, no yaw wobble at all. I don't have burners or anything on this to stabilise it, so it's handling beautifully. And look at that apo-ups it's ripping up. So getting there, Mach 5.5. The turbojet's probably not producing any significant thrust by the time it's up to this speed, but it's also not using any significant fuel, so it doesn't really matter if I don't turn it off straight away. There we go. Cut down, gave us a bit above 70 just to give us a bit of buffer for any speed we lose during the coast phase. And you can see, so the reason you want to get that steep climb is we had 30 kilometres of coasting altitude to do there, and if you'd done that too shallow, then by the time you got there, the drag would have reduced your apo-apsis way below what it needed to be. But look up here on the right, delta V, so we're going to have about a kilometre a second worth of delta V left, and that's even without the higher efficiency aerospike engine. This plane you could probably get away with maybe shaving the fuselage a bit, changing the central turbojet to a nuke. You'll still have plenty enough jet thrust to get up, and then by the time you got into orbit you'll probably have 4 or 5 kilometres of delta V from the nuke. But let's have a look and see what I brought along with it here. So it's only a small cargo bay, but a small cargo bay still has plenty of room for useful things. So let's pop this out. So there's plenty of RCS tanks on there. There's some legs as well, and some of the little monoprop engines. So let's check what we've got here. I had all the fuel tanks locked off so they wouldn't be drained during the flight. Also, you can see up top the pump level stuff. I've got Goodspeed fuel manager installed on this, and you can set things up so that this sort of probe would automatically refuel itself from the mothership every time it redocked. I haven't done that on this, but so just locking off and checking things works as well. So we'll get the legs out and flip it over so you can have a look at exactly what we've got here. So it's a little robot lander. It doesn't have a huge amount of fuel and engines, but it weighs so little that it doesn't need them. So you can see 3.5k of delta V. That's enough to get down and back on pretty much any low gravity planet. So this thing here can go do your landing first exploration on as many moons as you like as you fly about. So also just showing just how easy it is to redock these tiny things. So the lander itself, it doesn't have any conventional RCS thrusters, and the monoprop engines are too powerful for docking. There's something like 5 Gs in them. So I'm just docking from the point of view of the mothership here, without rearranging targets or where I'm controlling from, because these are so easy to get in. All you have to do is get it anywhere vaguely near the docking port and slap straight on. Back in. Yeah, so reusable, recoverable lander, or anything else you care to put in there. It'll easily take a satellite to do a contract with that sort of thing, or some sort of interplanetary probe. And yeah, so I think we're done. That looks like a successful design to me. So I don't mind this plane. It's quite a useful little thing. 6 crew, useful crew capacity, good range, very fast in atmosphere, makes it up easily. We've got a winner. So, see you around, guys.